We are back for episode 18. Recap of the round robin of the Four Nations Cup as well. Before we get to that, we are going to get to a minor signing. The Drew O'Connor signing by the Vancouver Canucks. 2 years, $2.5 million AAV. I think it's a great depth signing with the cap going up. You got going over $100 million in a couple of years. Those, like a strong player like that, it's going to be a really good signing, I think. You got fourth line talent at $2.5 million. That contract's going to age well. I mean, it's only a 2-year contract, but still, I think it's a very good contract for the caliber of player based on the salary cap going up. So I like it.
I'm here. My headphones are a little bit glitchy right now, so just give me one moment.
Uno momento, por favor. So while he's doing that, you're probably wondering why I'm wearing my Grublets jersey. Probably not, but still. I'm wearing my old Leafs jersey. This is my favorite Leafs jersey that they've ever worn. It was their 2007 third jersey, and I just really like the style of it. I don't have anybody on the back right now, but I just love the jersey. The reason I'm wearing this, with the Four Nations Cup, you have Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews facing off in the Four Nations Cup finals. That has potential for those two players to either elevate their game in key moments like this, aka the playoffs coming up in 2 months, or completely destroy it. And maybe this is Marner's time to finally step up and learn how to play in high pressure moments like this, as he hasn't been able to do so in the playoffs so far. So as a Leaf fan, that's what I'm hoping for, and that's why I'm repping the jersey.
Okay, there. We got our daily Leafs moment out of the way.
Oh, not yet.
Well,
anyway.
For everyone else's sake, I hope that's it.
So, Andrew is wearing his typical Grublets jersey.
Yes, I got my normal Grublets jersey. You know what? I don't think anyone's ever seen the back, and I'm not weird like you, so people know my name. There, is that showing it?
Tucker.
Yeah.
I like it.
Anyway, so we're gonna kind of recap all the round robin games that happened.
What a round robin it was.
Yeah, it's definitely entertaining hockey. It's some of the best hockey I've ever seen.
Yeah. I mean, you're too young to remember probably the Joe McGinley, those types of days at the Olympics, 2006, early 2000.
I mean, I watched it, but I didn't appreciate it. I was 8 in 2006, so
yeah,
I didn't quite have the same level of knowledge and appreciation for the game as I do now.
That's fair.
Anyway, starting off, we had the Canada-Sweden game, the 4-3 overtime victory for Canada. Had goals on the Canadian side from McKinnon, Marchand, Stone, and of course Marner's OT win goal. And then on the Swedish side, we had Eriksson Ek, Kempe, and Brodin.
Now,
to say Crosby had 3 assists in that game? Yeah.
3 not just 3 assists, 3 primary assists. And one that Marchand even called out. There's a clip of that one where he called him out a little bit in the dressing room, like, oh, between the legs, back into his own zone, no big deal. I like that clip. But Crosby came up clutch in that game with 3 big primary assists, including that beautiful between the defender's legs pass to a Nathan McKinnon one-timer on the power play, just under a minute or just over a minute into the game. That was incredible.
That was just amazing. If you watch that clip closely, before Crosby gets the puck, you'll notice him about that quick look okay, McKinnon's going to be there, and that's why it's instant off the stick to McKinnon. Just it's impressive.
And like we see that all the time. Crosby's had a full career of doing stuff like this, but the precision to be able to do that just by a quick look and still put it perfectly on his tape, looking the opposite direction of where it's going. I mean, we see those kind of passes all the time, but it's happened a few times like that in this tournament. It's been an unbelievable play. And now, one thing, just a little bit off topic from the game itself, but the opening ceremonies I really liked with the Canada-Sweden when they had all the many different all-time greats, as well as a couple of current players coming out for the opening ceremony. Like, for example, you had players from each different country. So you had Teemu Selanne, for example, with Team Finland from Finland. You had Daniel Alfredsson, Victor Hedman coming out for Team Sweden. You had Mike Richter, one of the best American goalies until recent. And then you also had Captain of the Year, Team USA, Austin Matthews, as well as Leafs captain. And then from Canada, you also had Mario Lemieux. Now, I did notice watching some American streams, one reason why, and people were asking why Gretzky wasn't there, because he was doing broadcasting in the States.
Okay, that makes sense. I think he's on TNT.
I think so. He was broadcasting him and BSNet, and it was actually kind of funny watching those two.
Him and BSNet would be something.
It was entertaining. I watched some of the post game analysis from them. It was very entertaining broadcasting. And but yeah, so I really liked the way the whole tournament was done so far. That they incorporated the old and the new in the opening ceremonies. Now I wasn't able to catch the Team USA Finland opening. I know you were there for it. If you'd like to go into that one a little bit.
I'll talk more about that when we get to it, but shout out to Johnny Lazarus of Morning Cup of Hockey for the tickets. Guy is a gem. But let's get back on track here. So, opening game of the tournament, we have Canada beat Finland, and Canada really outplayed them in the first. They outshot them 7-3. But in the second period, Sweden did bounce back a bit. They started getting more shots. They outshot Canada 9-7. Canada still had good chances, but Finland was starting to generate. And then, not Finland, Sweden. Then in the third, Sweden outshot them 10-6 and ended up tying it, as we all know.
Yep.
And watching the game, watching the goals that went in, I'm not going to crap on Bennington as much as everyone else has, but they were soft. And it's not Bennington's fault. He's just not at that level anymore.
Yeah,
it's just very inconsistent. We don't have the goaltending. We said that before the tournament started. We don't have that elite goaltending.
Now we'll touch on this a little bit more. I think his best game that he had was against Finland, but in both the Canada-Sweden and the Canada-USA game, he led in some soft goals. We'll get more into the Canada-USA game, but in this game you had I'm for some reason I'm drawing a blank right now. The Swedish goalie was definitely the stronger goal. Gustafsson. Sorry, I don't know why I was blanking on that, but he was definitely the stronger goalie. He made some really big saves, including some really nice cross crease saves. Bennington really didn't have a lot of high pressure shots to face until overtime.
Yeah, he had some good saves in overtime, and honestly, he gave us a chance to win with those. I'll give him credit, but I don't think it ever should have got to overtime based on the type of goals that went in on him. That's all.
I mean, there's the one cross crease that Sweden scored, and honestly, one of the standouts that I thought, because I saw the 3 starts of the game, one of the Swedish stars that I thought was Rickard Rakell. I don't remember if he got any points assist wise, but he had a very strong game, and he was winning a lot of puck battles, including the one. Yeah, okay. So he had no points, but he had the one goal. I believe it was a 3-2 goal on the cross crease. He was a big part in setting that play, keeping it alive. He made a big board play against Drew Doughty. Now Drew Doughty's obviously come back from injury, a little rusty, but he's looked good in this tournament. But that was a big play, and Ricard Raquel was making some really, really good plays. I thought he was a standout to me in this game, although he was pointless.
I'll eat my words on what I said about Deddy before. He's jumped in full speed. He's been good. He hasn't been, like spectacular, but he's been exactly what we needed him to be. A good presence, keeps things simple, and shuts down the other team, provides a little bit of offense. Just good leadership.
Yep. You doubted him, but he's had a good tournament.
There's our first pun. Maybe we should get a pun counter on the screen.
There's one.
But, watching that game live, 4-3 Canada, it was great. I wish I could have been there too, because that would have been something, that overtime victory. I had a coworker that went, and he's watched a lot of hockey in his time. He's a season ticket holder for the Canadiens. And his son just got drafted by the Kingston Frontenacs of the OHL, so he knows hockey pretty well. And he said it's the best hockey he's ever experienced, and that changed when he went to the Canada-USA game. He said that was the best hockey, but this tournament's just been so good for the league. The best on best that's been missing the past basically decade, if you want true best on best, country versus country.
So I saw a stat, and because this is obviously in place of the All-Star games and events. The last fight that Team Canada has had was Gordie Howe in 1948. The last time there was like a real fight at like an All-Star event like this, like NHL sanctioned, because that's just goes to show you how much the players really. I mean, the All-Star game has moments, but like it's not this level of hockey where they're out for blood. They're out for domination. They want to be the best of the best, and each team is proving why they are the best of the best, not just the best from each country.
Yeah, it's definitely fun to watch with NHL rules too, because international rules are slightly different. So I don't know if you would have got the fighting like you did. Now, apparently that was planned beforehand.
By the U.S. side.
Yes. So Tkachuk skated by Hagel and basically said, hey, you and me, we're going to drop the gloves off the opening face-off. And then Brady Tkachuk skated by the bench and said to Bennett, get on, we're dropping the gloves next. And then I think Miller just wanted to fight anyone he could. So, he saw Parayko, the 6'6", 228-pound man. It's like, yeah, I'm going to take you. That was a stupid decision on his part, but
he held his own, even though the size discrepancy was almost 30 pounds and like half a foot. He still held his own against him, and they're honestly really entertaining fights.
They were. Brady beat Bennett. Matthew and Brandon Hagel. Hagel did pretty good. Matthew's not as good as a fighter as Brady, and honestly, I don't think Miller really had much on Parayko. Like Parayko didn't pummel him, but he just didn't have much. He had that uppercut that he missed. That was great.
Where he almost hit himself in the face.
Oh, I would have laughed so hard.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're way off topic now. We're a few games ahead, but it was a good 4-3 win for Canada. It was hockey entertainment to the max, right to OT, 3-on-3. It was just great.
In the typical NHL season, this game would have gone to shootout because Marner didn't score until the 6th minute of the overtime period. So that rule change allowed for Marner to put the final nail in the coffin there.
Not all NHL players like it. It's kind of split, but I personally like it. I don't like the shootout. If it's there, it's there. But I'd rather actual goal win the game.
So I remember when the shootout was instituted way back when, and it was a lot of fun initially. And it's still fun, but the play of 3-on-3 hockey it's much more entertaining. And so I would love to see the NHL go to 10-minute overtime. Most
we'll
overtime
consider
games,
it, I'm sure.
yeah, like most overtime games don't go to the full 5 minutes, but for those couple games here and there that would, fans want to see that instant finish.
Yeah.
And they got it with Marner. It was a great shot, and probably the realistically the best he's looked the entire tournament. He hasn't been strong. He's been demoted because he was on the second line with McDavid, and he's been demoted to the fourth line.
The first line was actually Reinhart, McDavid, Marner.
Sorry, the first line. That's even worse.
But yes, he's been demoted. You are correct.
It hasn't been a good tournament for him.
Moving on from that game, we'll talk about Thursday's game. So, basically, like I said, Johnny Lazarus is a great guy. Hooked me up and my fiance with some tickets. I was a crazy man and drove an hour and a half to Montreal in the snow. For any of you that aren't from around Montreal, actually really just Ontario area, we got hit with a massive snowstorm. There was very high drifts in areas, like up to 5 feet or so.
Yep.
The highway wasn't that bad, to be clear. I drove in some snowy, terrible conditions, but we made it just fine, found some parking. We left my house at 5:30. Normally takes about an hour and a half. We got there at 8, or actually about 1:45, just enough time to kind of get in, find our seats, get settled. We sat down, and then it was opening stuff, so it was perfect timing.
And you had
but
really
on
good
to
seats
the actual
too.
game. Yes, I did. I was very fortunate. I was in the 100 level near the side where the Americans shot twice. Or no, actually, no, where Finland shot twice.
Yeah.
And I was 4 rows back, basically a little bit left of the net, but closer to being behind. It was spectacular. Best hockey I've ever seen live, but it was such a good game until the third period. You know, the Finns were really hanging in there, playing well. They made the most of their chances. And like I said before, they don't have a good decor. No fault of their own. They lost their number 1 D-man, and when you have no depth to begin with, it hurts. But Lindell played amazing. He really carried that group.
They got some good saves from their goaltending too. And
they did until they didn't.
Yeah. I mean, the US, they were in it to win it for that game. Like, I mean, not that other teams aren't, but their stars were stars.
I don't know if I fully agree.
Sorry, their Kachucks were stars.
I don't think anyone had both Kachuk scoring a couple goals on the bingo card.
No.
No, people were probably looking to Matthews, Kyle Connor, and some of the other bigger name guys. Like Werenski getting a point, an assist, makes sense. And I mean, Matthew Kachuk scoring still makes sense. He's a talented hockey player. Any of these guys scoring makes sense. But if you said both Kachucks were going to score like that, I don't think anyone's believing you beforehand.
Kachucks 4, Finland 1.
Yeah, it's true. Now, Brady scored that goal to tie it in the first after, I think it was Yogi Haru. Yeah, he opened the scoring. Yes. Thank God. I just remember this. So they were introducing all the players and just kind of going through, and I leaned over to my fiance just before they were about to introduce Matthews. I was like, watch this, it's going to be fun. And the entire stadium just erupted in boos. It was just boo. It was great.
Now, for context, this is Toronto Maple Leafs captain and USA captain Austin Matthews
in the Bell Center.
In the Bell Center, which for some of you that don't know, is Montreal. The Toronto-Montreal is the hottest rivalry in hockey history, at least at the NHL level. Maybe not so much the national level, but still probably the highest, I'd say. But so when you have a player playing for the enemy team who regularly plays for the enemy team, it's almost expected.
Now,
So
on the flip side, when they introduced Line A, he got a real good ovation. And same with Joel Armia of Finland. He is currently a Winnipeg Jet, but he did play for the Habs for a while. So
he scored the clinching, I believe it was a clinching goal against the in the Toronto Montreal series, or at least one of the Game 7 goals he scored. So he was
actually,
clutch
sorry,
there.
I'm an idiot. It's the other way around. He currently plays for the Habs. He used to play for the Jets.
Yes.
But yeah, so they'll cheer their hometown boys on.
Of course.
And it was great. It was a good atmosphere. One of the funniest parts was every time the Americans that were there stirred the USA, the Canadian fans just drowned them out with booze. It was hilarious. I just sat back and watched.
Now that's something I would never have seen on the stream that I was watching. Like I never saw that. I never heard that. Like I could hear the boos, but very rarely did I hear USA chants. So hearing that from obviously a first-hand experience is pretty funny. And now there's obviously the politics side that has played a part in this as well. But
yes, we'll ignore the whole anthem booing. I'm not commenting.
No. No comment.
Now, it stayed pretty close through the first period, and it was an unfortunate one to get scored on, but I had a perfect view of the Matt Boldy tip, and Saros couldn't do anything on that. It's not his fault. I watched it. I saw the tip, obviously. It happened really damn fast, and I watched the replay and confirmed what I thought I saw. And, it was a very good tip by Boldy, and very hard to react to that, honestly. But, I thought, okay, you guys are down 1. It's okay. You can score another. And then at the end of the second period, they took an unnecessary penalty. It was hooking on Matthews. Matthews went down pretty easy, so maybe a little bit of embellishment, but it was still a hook.
You can't do it.
And then 15 seconds into the third, Matthew Tkachuk scores that goal from the point, just a little wrister, which did deflect a little bit off one of Finland's defensemen, to be fair.
Fair.
And the only problem with that is 11 seconds later, Gensel scored.
He's been having a heck of a tournament.
A couple minutes later, Brady scored. Brady's goal was not pretty. It was some rebound garbage, but that's Brady.
You need those goals in the playoffs. Those are playoff goals.
He is a playoff man.
He's a nutcase, as he's shown in this tournament.
Hey, Brady's my nutcase.
He's my nutcase. Yes.
That was good.
I can't wait to see the Sens make the playoffs just to watch them.
Playoff Kachuk's something else. This is playoff Kachuk, what you've seen.
Yes. I would love to see a Leafs Sens playoff series. Same. But I would love to see a Kachuk versus Kachuk playoff series. Like, that would be entertaining. I mean, they're not going to hit each other because they're brothers, but you never know.
Their grandmother kind of made a rule. No fighting each other and trying to kill each other on the ice. So
no trying to kill each other on the ice. Yeah. Yeah, but Matthews has already got his cup. So, Brady's turn.
I hope so. Brady stayed far away from it because he went to celebrate with Matthew a little bit, but he stood feet away from it. He's like, nope, not going near that thing.
It's a huge superstition with hockey players. Like there was I can't remember who it was, but PK Subban was on a broadcast, and they brought the Stanley Cup with one of the guys who won it. Again, can't remember who it was. But the player went over to PK and be like, hey, you want to touch it? He goes, no. And he starts like walking away from it. He's like, no, get that thing away from me. And like, he's like, and the guy was almost started chasing Subban around the studio, trying to get him to touch the cup. And Subban wouldn't have anything to do with it. It's
super
sacrilegious. Like, it's almost sacrilegious to that level. But yeah, you don't touch the cup until you win it. Unless you're paid to handle it, obviously.
Yeah, unless you're the keeper of the cup. That'd be a fun job.
Yeah. But, Yeah, no. From my perspective, watching that Finland USA game, it was a really good game to watch. Like it was a very, very strong defensive game from Finland. Like it
was,
but they never got like they were banking on that counter punch and just getting those 1 or 2 goals from the counter offensive, but they just never came because USA was just swarming them.
That's one thing that surprised me. What I noticed, they had a tough time breaking out. Their defense, like it was good, but they had a tough time getting out of their own zone because none of those defensemen are used to that. None of them are your Miro Heiskanen. Imagine if they had Heiskanen. That could have made all the difference in the world. Guy probably would have played like 28 minutes.
He would have had to carry that team still,
but it could have been a lot different. And I mean, I was just kind of there going like, goals, let's go. I don't care who scores.
Hockey.
And as we were sitting there, I turned, I was like, I think I want Finland to win this. They're the underdogs, and I don't want USA to win. I wanted Brady to score, so I guess I got half my wish.
You got, based on that logic, you got a full wish because he scored twice. So if you got half your wish, which is goal, which equals a full wish. So
okay, well, we'll say 1 of 2 wishes fulfilled. But it was an excellent game. The atmosphere, as a non-fan of either team, was amazing. I know other teams have this down pretty well, like Vegas has the on-ice projections done well, and on-ice projections there were no slouch. It was great. It was just so cool. The whole arena was just buzzing. And this was for, 2 away teams, essentially. There was some Finnish people that had traveled. It was cool.
I did see.
It was fun to watch. They got their own little chant going too. Of course, the Canadians didn't drown them out. We just let them go.
Have fun, boys. Have at her.
But yeah, it was a truly awesome experience. I cannot believe my luck. I got lucky, just getting the tickets, and I would drive that 10 times over. It was worth it, despite the stress.
Yes. Now, on a side note,
yes,
with Andrew getting these tickets, we were going to make a recording that night to recap the Canada-Sweden game. However, as I'm messaging him that morning saying, hey, like these are the topics, I think this is what we should cover. And I mean, we're going to cover the game, obviously. And I have a whole bunch of notes on the game. And he goes, yeah, I think I have to cancel. And then he sends me a picture of his tickets. I'm like, you lucky guy.
Oh, yeah.
So
it was great.
So that's part of the reason why we haven't uploaded, because of him. So blame him for all you diehard.
I may have just thanked Johnny Lazarus, but I'm going to blame Johnny Lazarus too.
Yeah. Oh, he knows the up and coming Grublets on Ice podcast. So he definitely did that one on purpose. Hey, I know you. I'm the one guy that watches your videos on YouTube. He's our Canadian fan.
He actually came down and said hi to us at one point too, just a quick hello, and we thanked him and he chatted for a couple minutes there. But really nice guy, and he asked about this because like, what jersey is that? And I didn't feel like explaining the whole, we're not a real hockey team, we're an Xbox hockey team. So I was just like, yeah, it's my jersey, and it didn't have a Finnish or a USA one to wear nor a Canada one. So I was like, I just said screw it and threw this on. We were easy to find. If you watch the video, I'll have to show you at some point. You see purple jerseys and you see Diana's blonde hair.
I'm certain I saw you guys a couple times.
It's possible. We're very visible.
Yeah, like I mean, when it's in the corners, unless there's like a really deep cut, like just from the camera angle, it wasn't as easy. But there's a couple times where like a quick blur, I'm like, maybe that was him or in Diana, maybe.
Yeah. But we're the only purple jerseys that I could find within eyesight. So but moving on, basically my recap of that game.
So the darkness of the purple jerseys on camera looked very similar to like the darkness of the USA jerseys. So that's probably why I didn't fully see you guys. So I think it might have drained it out a little bit on that side. But like if you're there, obviously standing next to a person with a USA jerseys, purple versus blue.
Well, we were surrounded by red, if you're curious.
Yeah.
Red and white.
There was a lot of red and white. But yeah,
so basically,
that must have been an amazing experience.
It's the best hockey experience I've had by far. Nothing compares. My recap of that is the score is not indicative of the gameplay. Through 2 periods, it was close. Finland had an unfortunate opening to the second and an unfortunate penalty, unfortunate opening to the third and an unfortunate penalty at the end of the second. If it wasn't for that, it could have been different. But the team that I expected to win won.
Yeah, I think most of us expected that.
Yeah, exactly.
Now,
but
basically, USA found the blood in the water, and they swarmed.
Now, Finland did bounce back immediately their next game with a 4-3 win versus Sweden, which was impressive. They did pull Gustafsson after 1 period, I think, because he was sick. Yeah. So it was purely because he was sick. And then Olmark went in. And it was just a good, hard-fought, close game. I did not watch all of it, but I have watched the highlights. And it was not low event, but 24 shots for Sweden, 21 for Finland. It wasn't exactly high event either.
Sure.
But it was good. It was, once again, entertaining hockey. We consider these teams the 2 lesser, but they're still elite as hell.
Yeah.
Teams.
I'd take any of those guys on the Leafs teams.
Exactly. So it was just good hockey between the 2 Scandinavian nations.
Scandinavians?
Let's not.
It was a very sweet-ish game with a strong finish. There you go.
Rantanen finally scored a goal. It's the first goal he's scored since he got traded, and it wasn't even for the Carolina Hurricanes.
No,
so
we'll cover that.
There's
lots of trade speculation there, but we'll cover that in further episodes.
Yes. But once again, good game, just pure entertainment. Any hockey fan could watch that game and just love it. Doesn't matter if you're going for one team or no teams,
100%.
It's just elite talent and watching how good they are. And this is probably one that everyone's been waiting for us to discuss. USA, Canada.
We could be like a TV show, and stay tuned to find out. This is the last game we're going to cover. No, let's do it right now. Stay in the order.
So, obviously, Canada lost 3-1. Everyone knows that. Third goal was an empty netter. They were trying to come back. McDavid's goal, I don't fault Hellebuck on. That was just beauty.
Elite scorer. Elite talent. Doing elite things at an elite moment.
It was kind of funny. I was watching it with my fiance, and I turned to her. I was explaining how good McDavid is. I was like, he could be in the conversation as one of the greatest of all time. Like, he already basically is. But, when he's really done his career, he could be pretty high up there, And I was like, just watch him for a minute. And then he goes and does that the minute he gets the puck. And I'm just like, see, he makes my point for me. Maybe I should have said that again. Or, maybe he would have scored. Ironically, Jordan Binnington got an assist on that goal, if you didn't know that. And from there, the U.S. tied it.
Yeah.
And
that pass to McDavid was incredible. Like Drew Doughty's pass to McDavid to hit him like that.
Yeah, Doughty, like I said, he's impressed me. I give him full credit there.
He drew up the play on that one. Maybe not the McDavid magic, but he drew.
What's that, 3?
Yeah. That was like that pass on its own was an elite pass too.
It was great. It was all just what you'd expect from Team Canada, lead all around. Now, this is where it went to shit. Jake Gunsel scored.
Yes.
And Gunsel's an elite player. I don't care. Like, he's an elite player. He scores. But he scored a goal that I could have saved.
Oh, are you going to go back to your Hockey Hall of Fame moments? I made that save. I swear. It may have been not been Gensel taking the shot in the video.
I had a 900 and something, like a 910 save percentage, something like that. So I was good.
I was good.
But my point is, I'm a mediocre goalie. And I probably could have saved that. I don't understand how he let that go in. So, and I mean, I said I wasn't going to shit on him, but you need that save. Even as an average goalie in the NHL, you need that save.
Yeah, so I was a lacrosse goalie. Obviously, very different style, very different angles from the shot, your shots you're facing. But Gensel shot that puck perfectly. Binnington has had a weakness with his 5-hole in recent history, and he didn't put it center mass of the 5-hole. He shot it towards his feet, and so it was a very strong shot, like perfectly placed shot that caught Binnington in his movements. But that's being generous, very generous.
I'm not saying like it wasn't a good shot, it wasn't well placed or anything, but it can't go in. It can't go in a tournament that's best on best. You don't let up a goal like that.
It can't go in practice.
Like, that's a low danger chance.
That's a save under expected.
Here's a fun stat. Connor Hellbeck, you know how many mid-danger chances he's let up this tournament?
Tell us.
0. He's let up 0.
So you're saying he's solid.
Yes. Obviously, he's going to be a very likely MVP candidate should the U.S. win. He's been incredible.
Now, I'm not taking anything. Season. Yeah, I'm not taking anything away from Hellbuck. He's obviously the best goalie in the tournament.
By far.
USA's defensive play, and it showed in this game, basically the entire third period when they just dumped the puck out and they shut down defensively and went into a shell that was impenetrable.
They did shut Canada down pretty well.
I wasn't expecting this. Not saying that a lot of those players aren't capable of doing this. I mean, they're all elite players. They have to be able to do this at some ability. But the way they were able to really shut down Canada in that third period and keep it to low danger shots for the most part, there are some very good saves that Hellbuck still had to make. But it wasn't like, for example,
he saw all the shots. That's the thing. He saw all the shots. There wasn't a lot of high danger. A lot of it was kept to the outside.
Exactly.
But that's something that you expect in best on best. You know, when you have an elite decor, that's what's going to happen. Like Gensel's shot, that was a shot that was kept to the outside.
Yeah, I don't fault defense on that one. Like, the fault on that is squarely on Binnington. Cannot let that in.
No, it's unfortunate.
When you let in a goal like that, it deflates your entire team. Like, they're just like, oh, God, here we go again. Because you just let in the Brodin goal against Sweden that was just popped over your shoulder from the outside, bad angle. Now you're letting in this one. And maybe even the second goal, you want to have a save. That was a little bit more of a screen.
The second goal was Larkin's goal. There wasn't really any screen.
I was thinking about the Sweden goal. One of the Sweden goals.
Okay.
But no, this one, yeah. Okay, the Larkin goal was
a turnover in zone by Crosby, honestly. Not a great turnover. Led to the 2-on-1, also because of a kind of late line change. Crosby did get back to cover his man, but Larkin shot it from... One sec, I'm just watching it here, just to be sure I'm giving correct facts. he shot it from top of the circle and just picked his spot and sniped it. Like, I fault Binnington a little, but not as much as the other one.
Fair.
I still think it's a save you need to make, but not as much of a mess up as the Gunsel goal that he let in.
No.
And Canada still played well. Like, they outshot them 26-23. It's just, you need better than a 909 save percentage. And as a team, you can't expect to win games scoring a goal. You need to score more than a goal, especially with all that elite talent.
Yeah, sorry.
But it was pure entertainment. That game was great. My coworker that I said went to that one, he was actually pretty much in the same seats that I was in, just for the Canada-US game. So that's pretty sweet.
That's unrivaled, except for tomorrow night's game. Or probably by the time you're watching this, last night's game.
It's possible.
But we're talking about like Thursday night's game, the finals, Canada USA. Like,
yes,
this was like, so the game on Saturday night, Canada USA. A lot of those players, it was the biggest game of their lives, and then obviously players that have been to Stanley Cup Finals. But here I've just pulled up the Edge goal visualizer for the Dylan Larkin goal. It is pretty awesome. So I'm just pulling that up here on my other screen, and I'm going to keep talking until I have it here.
Good old loading times.
No, just trying to find out which screen it is. Here it is. So this is the Edge goal visualizer. So you can see turnover here. Crosby, turnover in the zone. Boldy comes the other way. Just bad line change. You can see right around there. Honestly, so that's one piece that I also didn't like. It could have been prevented in that sense because it's also caused by Crosby. You see 3 of their guys go for a line change and they're now playing catch up. And that also plays a big part in it, but you're not expecting Crosby to turn it over in that situation. You'd think, okay, it's a 2-on-3 right now. Maybe Crosby's going to circle back, bring it back out to the zone or get it in deep, but that didn't happen.
I'm actually going to add a comment on what I said. I'm going to blame it a little bit more on Binnington than I previously said because I just remembered a different angle of it. And what I said to my fiance, because she was yelling at him for being out of the net for the goal, and I explained, I was like, he has to challenge the shot. You need to step out to make yourself bigger, hence less net. But I explained he stepped out too far to the left. He thought the net was more behind him, I'm assuming anyway. And that's what allowed Larkin to pick that left side because he had so much net open there. That was the issue.
Yep.
So
half of
I'm going to actually give him a little bit more shit on that than I initially said. I don't.
Fair. Now I'm also pulling up the Gensel, and this one I want you to see for our YouTube viewer. That I want you to see the angle in which he shot this from. So you got the USA breaking out and carried it in
to Gensel.
Like that's a low shot in line with the face-off dot.
Yeah, there's no way that should have gone in.
No. So yeah, again, breakout. Canada played it fairly decently, kept him to the outside. He shot that again, very low angle, and you can see just where the puck goes. It goes right through Binnington. That was a 5-hole shot that you need to have a save on.
Yes, exactly.
And then obviously you have the empty net goal, which is an empty net goal. But
yes. Anyway, moving on. I know we're Canadian, so we spent a little bit more time on that one because it's the rival game. Canada bounced back with a 5-3 win versus Finland. I'm sorry, but
I just wanted to quickly touch on the situation in this standings here. Leading up to this game, a lot of people know Sweden had to win that game in regulation. And that was so they could reach a maximum of 5 points. You had Canada with an overtime win and a loss puts them at 2 points. Finland with an overtime loss and Finland was at 2. No, 3. Because they were at 3 points. Because they lost to Canada in overtime, which is 1 point. And they beat beat Sweden in overtime, so Finland was at 3.
Finland.
They lost. Oh, sorry, no, they lost in regulation. What am I talking?
What are you talking about?
Sorry, all 3 teams were deadlocked at 2 points. The first tiebreaker for the standings to be the second seed team into the finals goes to head-to-head competition.
Correct.
So you have Canada facing off against Team Finland, and if that game goes to overtime, you now have Sweden with the chance to advance because the winner only an overtime win, the winner only gets 2, the overtime loss gets 1. If Canada and Finland, didn't matter which team, if that game ended in regulation, Sweden is out of the tournament no matter what happens, because even if they win in regulation, which they did eventually, even if they win in regulation, they tie but lose the tiebreaker because they lost to both Canada and Finland. So Sweden needed a regulation win and the Canada-Finland game to go to overtime. That's the stage that was set, and they have to do it against Team USA. Now, Sweden got the regulation win against Team USA.
You know that came after the win for Canada, right?
Yes, but I want to set up some sort of intensity for this.
Okay, well, everyone knows what happened. You just rambled on. People are probably like, oh my god, is he done yet?
No, you're thinking.
Yeah, I was. So Canada won 5-3. They had a 4-0 lead. Bennington almost blew it in the last 6 minutes of the game. Mm-hmm. So we had Connor McDavid, Nathan MacKinnon from Reinhard and Hagel, Braden Point from Sanheim and McDavid, McKinnon again from Crosby and Reinhard. And then all of a sudden, 13-19 into the third.
Mm-hmm.
Goal. 18-20 into the third. Goal. So then Mikael Granlund, 18-43, brings Finland within 1 goal. And thank God Crosby was there to seal the deal with the empty netter with. So that wasn't long after. Yeah, after 20 seconds.
So Crosby nets the empty net winner, to seal the deal, after laying what had to be the biggest hit of his career.
I saw that. Ice. I don't know if I call it a hit so much as a collision and then a recovery, being like, "There's the puck, I'm putting it in the net." It was just both guys reacted late. They were like,
Crosby knew what he was doing there. He was going for that hit, 100%, no doubt in my mind. That hit was his.
For anyone that doesn't know what we're talking about, let's see if I can get it up here.
So, either way, Crosby got the better of that, as Andrew said, collision for, as I say, big hit of his career, and pots the empty netter from center ice.
Here, the only goal we're going to show this episode, and it's going to be an empty netter. Right, bam.
Center by Crosby, shoots for the empty net.
That's definitely a hit. That's definitely a hit. Crosby braced for it right there.
At center by Crosby, shoots for the empty net and scores.
Yeah, it was a big collision, that's for sure. Anyway, it was smart. Crosby lifted it up and over so no one could really bat it out of there and sealed the deal, but it shouldn't have been a 1-goal game at that point. It was a breakdown by Canada, by Bennington, however you want to look at it, it was a breakdown. And that's not a great game to have before the finals.
So, my view on this game, Canada kicked the crap out of Finland up and down the ice for the better part of 50 minutes of this game. Now, Finland did get a goal.
Pretty accurate.
But all in all, Finland got some saves from their goaltender, even though he let in 4 goals in the first 7 or 8 shots of the game.
Yeah, Lankinen played okay.
He still had a pretty decent game. It's just Canada was firing on all cylinders. They came out to win this game, and they won 50 minutes of this game. It was Canada firing on all cylinders. It was a great performance by Canada. And then Finland comes back and scores that first goal. As 90% of Canadians are thinking, okay, it's still 4-1. We're fine. There's no issue. We still have a 3-goal lead. As a Leafs fan, I'm starting to shake because I've seen this before a couple times. I've seen this before a couple times.
Oh. We already had our Leafs moment. We don't need another one.
I'm just saying, as a Leafs fan, every member of Leafs Nation can understand this one. 3-goal leads are not safe in the third period in high-danger games.
Anyway, so Canada got the win. That advanced us to the championship game.
Yes.
Sweden didn't just lay off, though, for the next one. They knew they weren't going to go anywhere regardless, but they beat the States 2-1. Close game. The U.S. outshot them 33-23, and Samuel Ersson shined because both Gustafsson and Ullmark were sick.
The only third stringer to touch the ice. Or probably the only third stringer in the tournament to touch the ice, let alone his equipment.
Correct. The only other... Yeah, no, there hasn't been another one because Saros got switched out. Hellebuck backed up Ottinger for actually this game here. And
so Hellebuck was getting rested for the finals.
Yeah.
Matthews was getting rested for the finals.
Honestly, it was just a very good game by Sweden. I'm impressed. They shut down their offense. And no offense to Ersson, but he is not an Ullmark or a Gustafsson. So
no.
That's some good defense there, too. But good on Sweden. Mm-hmm. Goal scorers were Chris Kreider, 1-0 lead for the Americans, and then Nyquist and Jesper Bratt for the 2-1 win. All goals came in the first period.
Yeah. That's a very, 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 very tight finish for 2 periods. Yeah. 1-goal game through 2 periods, that's a nail biter. Obviously, USA had no stake in it whatsoever. They couldn't determine who their opponent was by winning a game. Like it came down to they were resting a couple guys for the finals, especially Matthews, who's had a couple injuries this game, maybe one a little bit more, but he's been a shutdown guy for that team. He's been playing very strong defensively for him. And as a Leafs fan, you kind of got used to seeing Matthews do it because it's just kind of, okay, yeah, that's Austin Matthews. Seeing him play for the enemy team and doing it, it's like, oh, yeah, you kind of forget that he can do this. You forget to appreciate how much he does it. And he's a true number 1 center. And he's a very strong. And this kind of play reminds you that why he has been in this Selke conversation in the past.
Okay, I'm not going to go as far as to say he should get a Selke, but...
he's been in the conversation in recent years. Okay. You're not going to win over Barkov, especially with that, the playoffs that he had. But, yeah, no, it's all in all a very, very entertaining period. And, tournament period. It's been a very entertaining tournament, and I've been doing everything I can outside of this tournament to make sure I was in a position to watch these games. Maybe not doing that with every single Leafs game because there's 82 games in a season and there's just so much hockey to watch and life gets too busy. But this tournament has been something special.
It really has been.
Yes. And tomorrow night, we have Canada versus USA. The showdown.
Yes, we got the rematch in the final, the game that really matters. And Canada's going to have Cale Makar back. That's something important mentioned from their loss against the US. They had no Cale Makar. So we will see what sort of impact he has because he is a game-breaking defenseman.
Yes, he can do Drew Doughty passes. That Drew Doughty pass to McDavid in Canada versus USA game 1. He can do that every single shift of the game. He has that and make it look prettier somehow.
He's very flashy. He's very good. So we'll have Makar back, and hopefully everyone else is healthy. McAvoy is out for the U.S., and you may remember him as the one who laid the huge hit on McDavid in the game.
Yes.
And
that was a very, very big hit by a very big guy.
He's out with a shoulder injury. He actually has an infection, so I hope he heals up fast there because that really sucks.
Yeah.
But that means Jake Sanderson draws in. They will not be allowed to have another defenseman come into the game unless they lose another defenseman to injury or illness. So there's been a lot of talk about it because people want Quinn Hughes back. And in the past day, I've seen Quinn Hughes is joining the team. Quinn Hughes will not be joining the team. Quinn Hughes is on standby and ready to join the team. And then Quinn Hughes will be prohibited from joining because he has not been medically cleared. So as of right now, they will have Brett Pesce and Tage Thompson as standbys in case there are players sick. And honestly, Tage Thompson should have been on that team to begin with. And Pesce is a good other option. You know, it sucks that Quinn can't play. I'm sure he would have loved to play with his brother Jack, but it is what it is. And I do agree that unless another player is injured or ill, that they shouldn't be able to sub in someone because we waited until Makar was out sick and we'd already lost Theodore. And then we were able to bring in Thomas Harley. Now that Makar is back, Harley is out.
Thomas Harley had a very strong game too. I really liked his play.
I love the kid. He played well.
Dallas has got a very strong defenseman, young defenseman with him.
They have a very good D-core, you know?
Oh, yeah. So, as a hockey fan in general, obviously, as a Canadian fan, you're kind of like, okay, mate. Like, you're kind of on edge thinking, okay, is Quinn Hughes going to be on that team? You really don't know. There's reports coming all over the place from every single analyst being like, he's playing, and then he isn't. And from a hockey point of view, you need to have Quinn Hughes in that game because it makes it a truly best on best situation.
That's what the league wants. The league didn't directly say it, but they said that they'd love to have him in, but basically rules are rules. At the same time, they also said it's a fluid situation and they're going to see what can be done. So, there's no real answer.
If the NHL is doing this in future years, here's a situation where this exact situation with Quinn Hughes, whether or not he's eligible or not, can be completely avoided, and then there's no ambiguity around the rules. Or even 30. Then you can truly name all, like, if an asteroid were to hit tomorrow and wipe out half your team, you have all these players available to you. Every single one of these players would make sure they were available and probably call back some of their vacations, like a couple of the Canadian players have said that they were going to do, so that they could play this tournament. Like, for example, like maybe Tom Wilson could have been available for Team Canada, especially
maybe
knowing
Logan Thompson could have been available for Team Canada.
I didn't want to go there because I know you've mentioned that at least a dozen times in the last 5 or 6 episodes. So yeah, but yes, Logan Thompson could have been made available. But you could have truly had all your best players available and be able to swap guys in and out, especially for maybe the Olympics, which is a longer tournament. Winner, the 2 teams that make the finals and the bronze medal game play 7 or 8 games. So a longer tournament like that, where you kind of need a little bit more of a roster, the NHL could increase the roster spots so that this kind of situation doesn't need to happen, where teams are seeing if they could flex some rules to get their best players. Then they really do have their best players.
Yeah, realistically, a 25-man roster, it's the standard, do that, you're fine.
Yeah. And yeah, because you could
full
have had
team, including your goalie on the bench, you got 20. So you have 5 extra dudes. Take what you think is going to be necessary.
Yep. So,
but it's going to be a fun matchup. I'm going to say Canada takes it, not just because I'm Canadian, but I think they bounce back. It happens a lot in tournaments like this where you lose one game, you meet in the finals, and it ends up flip-flopping. So it could be a 3-1 victory Canada for all we know. And especially with McAvoy out, that's going to make a huge difference. And the general consensus right now is Hughes will not be in. So with Hughes out, mainly because of that medical clearance, so I don't think he's going to go. Canada's going to have an edge. We're going to have Makar back. We will have Bennington in goal, from what I know. That will be the weakness.
At this point in the tournament, you have to ride or die with him. You don't have a choice, because Aiden Hill hasn't played a game in the tournament. Neither has Montembeault. Neither of these guys have played. Bennington has played every single game so far, and to throw a guy who hasn't played hockey in a week and a half into the biggest game of his career outside of Stanley Cup playoffs, this is going to be a lot of these players' biggest career games of their careers, and to throw a goalie into that kind of situation, you kind of can't.
It's funny you say biggest games, because Brandon Hagel was asked if the game coming up, the championship game, had the same feeling or similar feeling to a Game 7 in the Cup final. And he said yes. He said the locker room's treating it like it feels like it. And it wasn't the answer the reporter was expecting. So it's a little bit of a fun twist there for him.
And that just shows you how the difference in mentality surrounding this tournament versus previous All-Star games. These guys want to be out there. These guys want to prove they're the best, not the best of the best, not just the best team, but the best of the best. And it, no matter who wins, it is going to be a huge game for hockey in general.
Well, the viewers that have been brought in?
It's
crazy.
I was seeing something about they're comparing the NBA versus and their All-Star viewership versus the Four Nations Cup, and the spike that the NHL has seen was astronomically ahead, light years ahead of the spike that the NBA sees.
There was 4.4 million American viewers alone with the Canada-US game, which is crazy. That's great for the sport. And that's, I don't know how they calculate it, but that's TVs. So this doesn't include people watching at a bar or a restaurant, or a whole party at home watching it together. If someone threw a party for the game. This is getting people truly excited. Yes, all the illegal streams like Dave.
No, I don't have any.
Sure.
I watch it legit.
Yeah, Dave definitely watches it legit for any legal purposes.
No, I watch it legit. I buy the games on it. So
on the interweb, yes.
Yes.
Let's say we'll do both scenarios. So first, actually, you said my pick. Who's your pick to win?
Now, before I make my pick, there's one interesting stat that I want to bring up. So, just on the Jordan Binnington side, he won a Stanley Cup Game 7 for St. Louis in Boston against Boston. And now he has a chance to do it for Team Canada against Team USA.
He did, but do you know what year that was?
Yes, I know. It was 2019.
Yes.
But
it's 2025, old man. It was a little while ago now.
He was a rookie then. Now he's getting into his prime?
No. He's fallen off.
But that's an interesting stat that I really want to see happen. To see Jordan Binnington come into Boston where he's won a Game 7 against that hometown crowd, come in and won, and now he can do it for Team Canada. I would love to see that. He just he just probably had the best 15 minutes of hockey that he's played this entire year against Team Finland. And one little note that I do want to make, yes, Finland was the weakest of the, like on paper, the weakest of the three teams.
But they were weakest because of their defense. Their offense was still very good.
Yes. That's what I was going to allude. That's what I was alluding to. So you have, of that 6-man crew when they pulled the goalie, you have Barkov.
Yeah.
You have Laine. You have Granlund, Rantanen, and like just those 4 players are elite on any team. So, yeah, you have a weaker team, but those guys can put the puck in. But like those guys can put the puck in from almost anywhere. So like to have those guys on the ice for the last 2 minutes of your game, that's very, very dangerous. That's comparable to almost to any of the other 3 teams in this tournament.
So Morrissey, going way off topic, what is your pick?
My pick is going to be, drum roll, we're looking at a Team USA win.
Okay. I'm not going to fault you. It could go either way. So
I obviously want my country to win this game.
Yes.
And I believe in them. But USA has they've shown this defensive side that I didn't know was 100% there. And they do have a very high-powered offense, but that being said, they're also up against the weakest goalie in the tournament. So Binnington can shut the door. Do I think he's going to? And I think it's going to come back. It might come down to just like the Gensel goal again in the first game. You don't have Carey Price in net.
No, unfortunately, we don't. But
if you had
to try and win without him,
if you had Carey Price in net, I'm saying a 4-1 win Canada. But knowing that Binnington's the biggest question mark and that's your goalie, I have to go with USA because I think, and no fault of Canada's defense, their defense is very strong. Their forwards are high caliber forwards, like the highest caliber forwards you can have in the game. But the goalie factor, like I am a huge believer in the goalie factor, and I think this is going to be the biggest game of his career so far, and it's going to propel the Jets to unprecedented levels. I mean, Hellbuck obviously hasn't been a playoff performer at the NHL level, but he's been stellar this tournament.
Yes, he's continued it right through from the regular season, right through this tournament. He's definitely been truly elite. So let's say my scenario happens and Canada wins. Who do you pick as MVP? Yeah, we don't know what's going to happen in the final game, but as of right now, based on what you know.
MVP of the entire tournament?
Yes.
That's a. I mean, you gotta. Part of me's got to go with Hellebuck because he's been that good.
If Canada wins, you're gonna pick Hellebuck?
Unless it's like an absolute blowout, but
that's like the equivalent of what happened with the Conn Smythe. It doesn't happen often. It can happen, like it did this past year, but it doesn't happen often.
It doesn't happen often, but Hellebuck's been like he's been a brick wall in net for Team USA, and I think it could be, especially if Team USA wins for sure.
Well, I'm gonna pick the 37-year-old that's leading the tournament in points. Sid the Kid.
Fair. That was my second. That would be my runner-up.
Now, if this flips and USA wins, I pick Hellebuck.
Okay, perfect. So we agree.
Secondary choice would be one of the Kachuk brothers if they go crazy and go off in the game, but that's a what-if scenario. McDavid and McKinnon are also there if they happen to go off in this game. They're sitting at 4 points each, so they could definitely.
I think McDavid is a multi-goal effort away from getting the MVP. Obviously, he was incredible against Sweden. He had some spectacular plays, but just didn't put anything together for points in that game more than what he probably should have had. Like, he had some really, really flashy moves that just blew through their entire team.
Well,
and in overtime against Sweden, Nathan McKinnon had a couple moments where he just said, "You know what? I'm gonna end this game right now," and just drove through, not around, through three Swedish players and get a high scoring opportunity. Now, he didn't score, obviously, because the final goal was Mitch Marner, but he did that, 5 or 6 times?
About, maybe a little less, more like 4, but yeah, he did it enough.
It was some people were faulting on him for his quote unquote selfish play, but that's what he does. That's what he does for Colorado. That's Nathan McKinnon. He looks at defense at defense of 3 guys and says, "Yeah, I'm going to get the better of you." Drops his shoulder and plows through, and you cannot get the puck off him when he decides that this is my puck. And that's what he does. Yeah. It's what he does. That's why he's getting big bucks, because he does that and produces. He's got a Stanley Cup.
Well, we've seen the McKinnon effect with Marty Necas since Necas joined. His point production's just gone up even more. But we will see. EA Sports NHL has predicted 4-3 overtime win for Canada, with McDavid scoring the overtime winning goal.
Passing the torch from Crosby to McDavid.
Yeah, how picture perfect would that be? But we will see. We'll tune in tomorrow. We may do a stream tomorrow. So I plan on posting this one around noon for you guys to take a look at. So most of you will not have seen this, but we'll see what happens. We'll try and get on, see if we can hook something up, and have you guys all join us for a sort of watch party.
Yes.
But good luck to both teams. More luck to Canada, just because.
And the real winner here is hockey. Hockey in general is the real winner in this game.
Not that you're wrong, but okay, Grandpa.
I'm not that old.
Yeah, but you're old enough. Okay. Dave has sat with his arms crossed, and now he's going to do some weird stuff. So we're going to say goodnight.
Listen here, you young whippersnapper. I ain't no old man yet.
He's become a southern old man. Okay.
Yes.
Well.
Alrighty.
Everyone have a good night. We'll see what happens. Go Canada.
Go Canada.